So the second time I've tried to make this video, the first time it turned into a rant, and just in the middle of my rant the program crashed and I lost everything, so which was probably just as well. So I'm not going to rant this time, I'm just going to read out the first chapter of my new book, which is this. I might not have existed, but someone exactly like me might have existed in my place. And on the cover you noticed a version of Leonardo da Vinci's Vitruvian Man. That photograph is me at the age of 19 with my Jimi Hendrix hairdo. I'll just show it to you again because you might not have totally got it. There you go. And someone might think it's a bit boastful to pose as Vitruvian Man, but the point was there's actually two men there, one superimposed on the other, and they're the same man. And that was really the point I was making, that I might not have existed, but someone exactly like me might have existed in my place. Someone might have been making this video and saying exactly the same things that I'm saying, but I would not have been there. And the ultimate question is how I comes to be in the universe at all. The book has the last three videos that I made, transcripts of the last three videos I made, including the one about materialism, and it's very important to realize that if you accept materialism, which I consider to be an absurd proposition, but supposing you do accept it, then none of this applies at all, because materialism has a very simple response. So I'm not going to go over that again. But why am I making this video now? I mean, the book came out quite a few months ago. I couldn't get to sleep last night thinking about this issue, and in particular the fact that, to the best of my knowledge, and this is going to sound raving lunacy, but it's just the truth, to the best of my knowledge I am the only human being in the history of the universe who has conceived this problem clearly and distinctly. A lot of people have conceived it indistinctly or mixed it up with other stuff. But I've got the books to prove it, going right back to the Metaphysics of Meaning, my doctoral thesis from 1982. I've spent 4.5 decades, more than 4.5 decades, thinking about this and taken it as far as any human being can ever take it. There is one person who seems to have got it. I mean, just looking around the web, looking at other books. One human being. A guy called Ivan Burge, who's one of a group of men who are pushing back against feminism. And that some of the things they say sound rather extreme. I don't identify with their movement in any real way. But he took me up on my point about being thankful that I have a penis and balls, being thankful for being a man, and what was great about that. And it's just ironic, it's kind of ironic that it should just be that one person who really gets what this is about. I mean, I have great respect for women, but no desire at all to be with a woman. None. Zero. It's gone. Whatever desire I had once is gone. But then a lot of things that I've wanted no longer, I no longer want. And I think maybe it's just the obsession with this question that has done it. Or something must have. But anyway, I'm just going to read this chapter and see what happens. I decided to write this book after I saw a YouTube video debate in which a professor of philosophy stated confidently, "Even a 6-year-old child knows what consciousness is." I was so outraged by his remark that I nearly threw my laptop across my bedroom, which would have been a pity because I paid for a lot of it on eBay. The professor in question, whose name I will not mention here, is the son of a well-known philosopher who tutored me when I was a graduate student at Oxford University. I remember the day over 4 decades ago when I went to his college rooms and he said, "My son just gained his DPhil in philosophy. I'm so proud." No, Professor, we do not know what consciousness is. We don't know what we are. Consciousness is the way we human beings exist, whatever that is. A stone is not conscious. It doesn't have a point of view. A camera is not conscious, even though in the hands of a photographer it has a point of view similar to that of a human eye. A computer is never conscious, although there are computers that can do things that we can do with our conscious minds, and often a lot better. Chess computers, for example. Billions of years ago, elements were formed in stars, similar to our Sun, but much older and closer to the end of their natural lifespan. Across interstellar space, those elements found their way to our solar system and now form the structure of my living body, balls to bone. You could draw a map tracing the path of every single atom in its incredibly long journey towards being part of me, as I am now, writing this very sentence. But as impressive as this story is, a question might have occurred to you as it occurs to me. Why am I the end result of this billion-year-old process, rather than someone physically and mentally like me? Being me isn't the same as being like me. If there exists a twin universe or infinite identical copies of this universe, in space or in time, I am here, now, not there or then. I am one and only one of the millions or billions or possibly infinite number of GKs. Much more than that. Take this actual universe as it exists now, in its entirety, and remove I. The GK who exists in that universe is identical to me in every physical and mental respect, but he is not I. I might not have existed, but someone exactly like me might have existed in my place. It makes no sense to say this of a stone or a camera or a computer. These things just are the end result of a physical process involving the coming together of trillions of billion-year-old atoms. But I am not. I could not be. I am something in addition. I have something they could never have. I exist in a completely different way from the way those objects exist. I am conscious. In the face of that simple formula, I might not have existed, etc., which I call the idiotic conundrum, science, philosophy, religion all falter. There is nothing to believe, nothing to argue for or against, nothing to say except to repeat that which is immediately obvious to every individual who exists or has existed. I exist now. I exist now is a fact, perhaps the only fact. The rest is mere belief or theory. Tell me that a computer running the program that is currently running on my brain would claim just what I claim, that it would assert just as forcibly as I do, I exist now, and I will laugh in your face. Supposing it did say that, supposing it made those sounds, then what? What does that prove? But in any case, the premise is absurd. I'm not even going to stoop to argue the point. Maybe I'm the only one who thinks this way. Maybe everyone apart from me is stupid. I mean really thick. Or maybe I'm the only person in the whole world who's really conscious. Well, that's possible. But those are not possibilities I could easily accept, so long as there are alternative explanations available. This isn't something I came across yesterday. I have been pondering this for the best part of 4 decades. I have tried every which way to avoid the conclusion, but there is no avoiding it. I am not part of the world. The world didn't make me. It couldn't, because there is no difference, so far as the world is concerned, between the I who exists now and someone exactly like me who exists now. Just pause for a moment and just think about it. Pause the video and just think about that proposition. In the same way, I know that God couldn't have made me, because there is no difference, so far as God is concerned, supposing God exists, between the I who exists now and someone exactly like me who exists now. I remember arguing this point at a job interview at the University of Liverpool. The panel were most amused. I don't know that I will exist in 5 seconds' time, although I believe it. It seems a reasonable thing to believe, regardless of the fact that, as an objector would say, the question whether I will exist in a few seconds' time or not is undecidable in principle. It cannot be verified or falsified, because in 5 seconds' time, the I who says I exist now will not be able to state with absolute certainty that I existed 5 seconds ago. But I will believe it, and it seems a reasonable thing to believe. It is undecidable in principle whether my father's last thought before he passed away was of me. But as he died very shortly after I visited him in hospital for the last time, it seems a reasonable thing to believe. You see the connection there. There are things we believe that we absolutely can't verify, but they're still, it doesn't make the belief meaningless. So much for verification. I exist now, but I didn't have to exist now. I might not have existed now. In other words, my existence is contingent, not necessary. But contingent though it may be, it is not contingent on anything. My existence is sheer, inexplicable fact. My existence is absurd. My existence is absurd, but not in the way the existentialists mean. Logically, I ought not to exist. That there is a world rather than no world is a puzzle. It is inexplicable. That is to say, we can't conceive of any possible explanation. That the world contains I rather than no I isn't just a puzzle, it's something else. It makes no sense at all. And yet here I am. Apologies for the break in the video. The program just decided that it had enough and quit. Luckily I was able to save the first bit, but I'm going to have to stick this second bit on. Don't have much else to say. I did have a question today on one of my other videos, against God and gods. Someone asked me, what is the antithesis of a philosopher, and why would I want to eliminate God? And I did explain it more or less in the video, but I will just repeat that to be a philosopher as I see it, or a philosophizer, is to be prepared, is to be a truth seeker. That's the first thing. But secondly, to consider the possibility that as certain as you are of the truth that you have found, you could be wrong. You could be wrong about things. I could be wrong about all this. Maybe my doctoral thesis and the view that it's an illusion was actually the correct view. It could be. I'm prepared to consider that possibility. And as for God, I would never say to any entity, supposing I created one in a test tube or something, any living entity, I'm your God, worship me. The idea is gross, absolutely gross and grotesque. And I will not let any entity say that to me. Not if I can help it. Of course, I may not have the power. If God really did exist, then by definition, there couldn't be a big enough gun, but maybe there could. Who knows? But I'll leave it there today.